Kevin Durant to the Phoenix Suns.
Manchester City just controls the game the whole time.
Tom Brady himself.
All right, guys. So one thing I do want to talk about is we're talking about the NBA world.
Yeah.
Load management. Load management is ruining the NBA. Whether you believe it or not, the reality is it really is ruining the NBA. I mean, nowadays we got players that I'm not, discredited. I know a lot of it has to go to injuries to these players, but the fact is, I feel like 100%. There's a lot of injuries that these players can play through, and I get it, right? These players want to protect their body. You know, their body's their investment at the end of the day when it comes to a physical sport like basketball and the NBA itself. But the fact, the reality is, a lot of these players are getting paid millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars from these teams. You got to realize that those teams are businesses themselves too. What they go off of is, selling tickets, viewership, sponsorships, endorsements, and all that good stuff going forward. The fact of the matter is, the fans make that too, 100%. The fans are the backing of everything of these players. If I'm a fan and I want to go pay and see the Phoenix Suns, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to go see Chris Paul, I'm going to go see Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. And the matter of fact is, when I get to the game, I found out that these players are not playing for something that you're just like, really, that's the case. Seems a little bit iffy.
Right.
Yeah, it's irritating as hell. 100%. Why? Because you want to see these players play. That's the main thing that they're doing. This is their job. 100%.
Right.
Definitely.
This is their number one thing. Especially with these advancements nowadays, what's irritating. Thinking about it back from the old school days. Think of the old eras where these players were much tougher. 100%, and they play through anything. I think that's what we kind of expect to see now. I think it's irritating now. Nowadays, we have so much technology to the fact that these players can take care of themselves. These players have personal chefs. They have nutritionists.
Yeah.
100%. Like, how are they not taking care of their bodies? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have all the technology in the world to be able to better take care of yourself and your body back in the company like 20, 30 years ago. And yet we're seeing a lot more injuries. A lot more injuries, apparently. And I say that in quotations to the fact where these players don't want to play. The biggest player who's fall of it is Kawhi Leonard. I love Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard was one of the top NBA players for a while, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, now he's a top 20 player. Why? Because half the time he's not even playing. There's always something where you look back at his track record. I don't think he's played more than 50 games out of the last 5 seasons he's been in the NBA. Sure, don't discredit because of the injury, but a lot of it was he's not injured. For some odd reason, he's not playing. Load management. 100% ruining the game. Super irritating as a fan.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I mean, when you think about these players, I'm not discrediting if they're really injured. I understand that 100%. But if you have something minor or something minor, like, I don't know.
Sore heel, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. You should go out there and play because at the end of the day, that is your job. And the reality is, I mean, you get paid from these teams. These teams depend on these fans, going out to the games, watching the games, buying merch, buying your jersey, and all that good stuff.
No, definitely. I mean, like I said, like I told you earlier too, we were talking. We watched an era where players were getting hurt on the court and still trying to play while hurt. Even though we just saw a guy get his, face rammed in, or famously, the famous game where Kobe's finger got dislocated, popped it right back in, wanted to play again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hell, even when Steve Nash got his nose busted, he was still trying to play through that bloody nose. You know what I mean? And I get it. And it was even playoffs, and that's what made it more intense. I think, and that's what we come to expect from the NBA. You're gonna play. You're gonna play, especially when we go out to see our favorite stars.
Yeah.
We pay this money, we work hard for this money, and if our favorite player doesn't play, it's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Hell, I know I saw not too long ago a player that flew across the country to watch Jimmy Butler play, and Jimmy wasn't even playing.
Yeah.
Jimmy saw that, and he made it up to the fan by taking picture. You think? Yeah, I'm sure the picture was a great, um,
Well, he gave him. I believe he gave him his shoes and gave him a jersey and took a picture.
Yeah, which is pretty cool because not many people can say that.
Yeah.
But I think that all could have been avoided if Jimmy just went to play. Not even, I'm not saying a full game, but some minutes.
Yeah.
We're not saying don't play or go play if you're extremely hurt. No, if you're hurt, we understand. Your body's your investment. Take care of your body. But it's like this man said already. You guys have your own personal nutritionist, masseuse, physical training, which is one big thing too. That the physical therapy wasn't that much of a big concept back in the day. throughout the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
So it is ruining the game for us. From a fan standpoint, we want to see y'all play.
And it's softening the game 100%. Too. I think it's softening these players, these new players that are coming up, kind of see load management, they take advantage of it. I mean, I get where they could, I think I saw an interview with one of the players. I'm not going to name out who, but where he said, well, we're the ones playing, right? We're the athletes. You guys don't know what we go through. 100%. I agree with that. 100%. But the reality is, like, you're getting paid so much money to go out there and not even perform. I mean, for something minor that you can go out there and perform for. It's not even. It's like at that point, it's just privilege. The fact that they have the privilege to feel that way, or they may be soft enough to just be like, "Oh, I don't want to play because of this, whatever." I mean, it's a little bit irritating. As an NBA fan, 100%, it is ruining the NBA and it's making them softer too.
So, I kind of agree, but not fully. So, whenever I watch a game and I'm watching it specifically for one player and one player only, if they're not playing, just shut it off. But when it's my team, whether the All-Star is playing and that's the person that I really like from the team, even though they're not playing, I'll still watch the full game because that's still my team. Right. So I think it really depends on for the viewership part if you're only watching it for that specific person. Right. So I don't think it's gonna ruin the game whatsoever. I think it's just gonna suck that one person that you really wanted to see play isn't there. Now, I actually think if the player is not 100%, they should not play because it's just gonna bring the team down. If someone is missing like 10 out of the 20 shots that they make, then it's just gonna bring morale down. It's just gonna be like they're like, we cannot pass the ball to this person because he's just gonna suck. Or if typically they get, let's say, 15 rebounds, which is pretty crazy, and then they only get 3 rebounds, they're just gonna get subbed out anyway. So why go through all the pain of getting ready, exercising so much, making their injury potentially worse, where they can just sit out one game and then go in 100 with a better mentality, like, okay, I'm better now, I'm energized, I'm gonna motivate my team because I missed the last game. I think that's a lot better than trying to force it because if you look back to all those people that like force themselves to play during injuries, like if you look at their mentalities, like you hear how bad they were when it comes to training. Like Kobe Bryant was infamous for like training more than the rest of his peers. And I know a lot of his peers were like, cool, like, yeah, this guy loves the game, but it makes me feel like, like I'm not going to give it as much as he is. So it's going to bring him down. So it's going to bring that toxic, like, I'm better than you at all times because I'm playing through my injuries. Instead of, hey, you should really be taking care of yourself because this is your investment. This is what's going to make you money. It's better if you play less games but play for more years than it is if you kill it for like 5 years but then get a career-ending injury.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I just feel like a lot of the injuries that are out and reported are not like real injuries. I'm not saying they're not real, but they're small things. There's something minor. You know what I mean? That's not something like obviously if someone has torn their ACL and they're supposed to come back in a year and they come back in 5 months. Sure, I mean that to me is like, whoa, man, take your year. That's an ACL tear. You know what I mean? Take your year on that part. Don't force it coming back.
Yeah.
But a lot of these things that a lot of these players set up for, they're minor things. They're minor things that if they play through it, they're gonna be fine. They're not gonna make it worse. They're not gonna make it, more extravagant.
Get a test game. See how you feel during the minor injury. The big thing is I know players don't want to play that many games. They don't want to play 82 games. Back then, let me just say this. Back then, when they played 2 games, they used to have like 3 or 4 games back to back to back to back. Yeah. They spaced it out for this newer generation, but they still don't want to play these 82 games. All right, that's I'm like, okay, I get it, you want to play 2, but I don't want to go to work every day at 4 in the morning, get up, and be out on this heat. But I'm there Monday through Friday. I do my 8 hours. Again, low management has kind of made it soft, kind of give the players power, and they want less games to be played. And I'll tell you right now, the owners of the teams are not going to cut the schedule just because some don't want.
And that thing too. I mean, you got to think about it like as as they want to play less games and they want to get paid the maximum. That's the irritating too. Like you see these players that hold out during the off season, they don't want to take the deals that the teams are giving them, and I get it, respect to them, right? Because they deserve it for the game. But a lot of these players are kind of like, well, why does this player deserve that much money if the reality is he's only going to play half the season? You know what I mean? The expectation is that you're playing the 42 games if you're healthy, if you're able to. If it's something minor, go out there and play through it, not to sit out. You're playing a bunch of these players 20, 30, 40 million dollars a year only to sit out a few games. Then in reality they could be playing. Then that's annoying too, because you got to think of it as a team owner. Well, I'm paying you that much money, and the fact that you don't want to play, if it's something that you can play through, then it's 100% everything.
Yeah, but I mean, in that case, like the way to combat that is just like paying them per game.
Interesting.
I mean, that's what they do in soccer. They pay them depending on what your contract is, you get paid a salary, and then you can get your bonus based off performance, appearance, and like other like different performance and appearance. Yeah. So like, why don't they make it like that for the NBA, and it'll combat that. Like,
yeah, I mean, you're probably 100% right. Maybe they should look into changing the salary, and maybe that helps out and fix a load management issue. But we'll see, man. I mean, I think it all just depends on these players. It depends how they go about it, and it depends how these teams and these owners go about it too. I mean, aside from that, though, let us know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you think the load management is ruining us hockey in the NBA? I know for a fact I think we can all agree, except for maybe Renee on some
I
points.
don't agree.
We pretty much do, but let us know in the comment section down below.
We old heads, that's why.
Until next time, though, we're out. Peace.
Out.